Hello, my name is Marco Cifuentes, and today I will be talking about my artist. The artist that I have chosen is named Mark Bradford. Mark Bradford was born November 20th, 1961 in Los Angeles and is currently 57 years old. He grew up in South Los Angeles with his mother where she rented a beauty salon in Lemur Park. The family lived with a quite large white neighborhood in Santa Monica. Mark spent some of his time in the salon and later graduated from high school with a hairdresser's license and worked with his mother for a while. Mark Bradford went to study at the California Institute of Art in 1991 when he was 30 years old. He finished college with a BFA or Bachelor of Fine Arts in 1995 and a MFA, Master of Fine Art, in 1997. Mark is mostly known for his abstract painting. For most of his art, he uses any type of newspaper, which I think is cool because he turned something that is rarely used to something that people can look at and also serve as a meaning. His art is kept at a lot of locations, for example, the Hirshhorn Museum, the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the Tate Gallery in London, and Walker Art Center in Minneapolis. These are some of the locations where his art can be found. Now I will show you a 3-minute video why Mark Bradford does all his abstract work and its meaning to it.
The materials that I use and have really always used have always been paper. The tools of civilization, how we build and destroy ourselves, are the materials that I'm really interested in. And paper is one of the main ways in which information is displayed. Paper in itself is simply a bunch of fragments held together by a binder. I always saw it as pigment dried in a binder and cut into 8.5 by 11 blocks. So just in my head, I thought, oh, well, you just have to wet it so that it can move like paint. What constitutes a painting, sort of, and who are the gatekeepers of that? I think that, I'm sure that me being a painter was a very political gesture for me. If you're black and from South Central, you have a lot of like identity stuff that you could just fall right into, and I just thought I was going to do abstract work, but it was going to talk about race and class and culture and all these things, but I was going to do it from an abstraction place, which gave me freedom. And then I was going to look outside. I wasn't going to do this kind of hermetic interior, close the world off, which is historically what we understand abstraction as being. I was going to have relationship with the world and with politics because I was interested in those things. I was really starting to get very interested in the foundations of our country, and the amendments or the Bill of Rights are still what we go to. And interesting enough, it is on paper. I mean, it is one of our historical documents, one of our most important documents are on paper. And also, we put paper in the photocopier. So it's both precious and not precious at all. It's both protected by security guards and shredded. So Amendment 8 is actually part of the Bill of Rights series, and there's certain fragments that cling to the edges of the composition. Certain words float in and out. They're legible and not legible. They hint. But in some ways, that's how we really do understand the dense documents. We will never fully understand. They're so dense, but we pull and we glimmer and we dive and we project onto these documents. And at the time of the Constitution, certain people weren't even human, women didn't have rights, so we move them forward as the country moves forward. We amend what we excluded in a way. What better place than the Smithsonian to have an amendment painting? It just fits. It makes sense. If you look at what's going on in the media at the moment with black male bodies, and me being a black male and doing an amendment painting and sitting in the Smithsonian, that's just super layered. The material.
I think art is important for the reason that it shows how much time and thought that that Mark really puts to his work, like trying to find all the materials that he needs to be able to put together everything, his art, like the newspaper. It takes a while to put everything, all of that, in one piece because you have to be searching for the words to put on the piece that you're making. After that, once it is together, there will always be a message to it because that's what Mark is known for with the newspaper things. For Mark, the message of every abstract of art that he has done with will be something that goes on in the world and it shows in all the art that he's done, as I said a while ago. Mark can really inspire anybody that likes art because of the way he looks at things. For Mark, the way he gets inspired to do his art work is by listening and looking. It can be a conversation of some sort or a quote he might have heard from a random person or seen. When he sees and looks at something like that, that's when he starts showing his imagination and it just keeps expanding until poof, he comes up with something. Mark likes to get curious with all the things he looks at and questions it. Like an article I read before doing all this writing, he wanted to know what Swiss people look like. And so he went to Switzerland to see how they look like. And that really got him to think on how how the world works in a way. Mark also makes me kind of get into the art world mostly because it helps me bring my emotions out in a way to show someone how I'm feeling. Mark also gets paid about, well, his net worth is about 20 million, which is something I wish I had. It's very like accomplishing because of the way he lived. Because he grew up in a place where there was a lot of bad things happening as a kid, and as he was turning to a teen, he might as well kept that attitude, but no, he changed it because they moved to another place where her mother's beauty salon was at, and that way he became successful in all the things he did, and now he's living the dream, as some people might say. An opinion that I have for this is that if anybody out there needs to know or wants to get into art, this is a person I would look up to just so I could have a feeling on how so they could have a feeling on how they can like reach that goal and not be scared to build up confidence and as well so they could have a nice and wealthy life just like Mark Bradford. And that concludes my presentation about Mark Bradford and all his art and the way he got into art, and yeah, thank you.